Well, actually, risk has to be owned at the front line, really. Again, using Stratex, the support of the system there, we could actually tag ownership to specific individuals, and that was quite important, because then if your name's in the frame, the chances are you're going to do something. Which again, under an Excel workbook, you send it out on an email and then, well, it's gone. So how do we get the knowledge of risk management and operational risk up across the whole of our population? That's quite a challenge for us. I'm not saying that people don't know what they're doing, but it's having something which we can demonstrate back to the FCA that we've actually done it, and it's an ongoing program and people are aware of their responsibilities. And we also need to have a process for monitoring and managing those policies and procedures to make sure that they're kept up to date. There's only one version of the truth, so people are not using out-of-date processes and policies. So that's a fairly big piece of work for us. So what does this look like in terms of sort of a top-to-bottom approach? This is a fairly simple, straightforward model. What this was a slide I put together for the presentation a couple of weeks back, which was trying to demonstrate how we can pull this together in a sort of straightforward way. Interestingly, within the application, there is a framework health check, which allows you to look very quickly at what risks you've got with no controls, or where you've got controls and no risks. So you can fairly quickly identify where you might have gaps. Okay, so we have our risks, but what is our control assessment telling us? So we have on-the-ground actual sort of real-time data coming in, which we can then say, well, what's our control effect in this? If we're saying a control is bright green, but all that business assurance activity underneath is bright red, we've got to disconnect. The other thing we've done to reinforce all this is when internal audit and compliance monitoring go out and do their work, they ask to see the controls documentation or the controls listed within the ERM system, and if they're not there, it automatically gets a medium level issue, and the outcome of that will be a document which will set out what the controls are around that particular thing that they're looking at. Personally, I feel that over the last 3 years we've come an awful long way from an organisation which is, as I said, very diverse, very differing cultures, and we've pulled it all together from both an operational space but also from a risk management space, and now we have something which is a lot more coherent and we can push forward with.
One of the challenging things we had to do is align our risk appetite with our clients. Now that was harder, to try and get the clients to, what's your appetite? To try and get, so we've expressed that in terms of alignment to CISC 8.1, your outsourcing obligations, and this is your SLAs and your MI. So we've done that. So we've got a very pretty document, lots of detail in terms of our risk appetite and how it's articulated. The first one to focus on really is governance, because if you don't have good governance, you can't have good risk management. It didn't work at all. So there was a big focus on getting the vision implemented into the company strategy, articulated there, so all of the corporate plans, everything very clearly laid out. This is why you do risk management. It's aligned to the strategy, it's to support you, it's to reduce process variation, allow you to focus more on generating profit and for the business and executing your strategy. So it was all linked in there.